Hi, Pierce Dispatch listeners. Today we are at Station No.8 in Madison, Wisconsin. And we are visiting the second Volterra that has been at this station, as they initially had the joint development agreement, Volterra Electric Apparatus. So today we're here putting in service their production ordered Volterra. The city of Madison serves over 250,000 people across 100 square miles, and they have 14 different stations. We're at Station No.8, which happens to be their busiest station. And now I'm going to hand it off to firefighter Matt, and he is going to tell you more about the Volterra pumper.
My favorite thing about the Volterra is the drivetrain. Easily. I mean, that's the thing that we ordered it for, right? Is the sustainability aspect of it, keeping the carcinogens out of the firehouse. It's a feat of engineering, honestly, to be able to take this battery, shove it in a fire truck, and have it work seamlessly with the push of a button. Literally as easy as that. And then for redundancy's sake, have that diesel engine as a backup, and the truck being smart enough to cycle between the two seamlessly. So yeah, by far the drivetrain and the engineering that went into it and behind it is my favorite part. The department has always been very forward-leaning as far as sustainability is concerned. That goes as far as with our city buses that we just bought, 40-something new electric buses. So for the department, it's a monumental leap forward, being the first prototype, the first production order, leading the way forward, showing that sustainable energy is not something to be feared, something that can be modern in a fire service. And that it works. It's sustainable. It works. It's clean. It's good for us. It's good for the environment. But we also have the redundancy, if we need to do a sustained operation through the diesel backup engine. The department's very proud to have this truck. It's been a long work in progress. A lot of hours went into it from members of our department, members on the Pierce engineering team, the Reliant dealership, and then our fleet maintenance team. And honestly, the city taxpayers have invested in this for quite a long time, so we're very thankful to them. What I would tell anyone considering a Volterra is don't be afraid of it. The price tag is a little more than a traditional fire engine. That, yes, I understand that that's a drawback, but beyond the price tag, the truck functions exactly like a standard enforcer chassis, and there's nothing to be afraid of. The potentials, the what ifs that could happen, they're just not there. The battery's going to run out and we're going to run out of power, and what if we're on this big fire? It's not there. The battery is solid. They run a long time. The way we run calls, and I would argue most cities in the nation run calls where you're not gone long enough to run that battery out, especially if you have a fast charger like we do here. And as long as you can work it out with the city and provide that adequate level of power in the stations, it's not an issue. And of course, you always have that backup diesel engine. So there's nothing to be afraid of. This Volterra is nothing unique as far as how we run calls in the city of Madison. We're going to run it exactly like we run everything else. You run EMS calls heavily in this city, along with fire alarms, and then of course, structure fires. And then we're unique at this station that we run our tech rescue team out of here. And this Volterra does not impact any way that we run calls. It is completely seamless to our operational plan, and it can be used by anyone in this department that comes in. It's nothing unique that they have to be specially trained in. It's very much a plug and play model into our framework within the city of Madison. The JDA was very, very unique in the sense that it was novel in the concept of bringing sustainable, renewable power to a fire truck, which traditionally we think of as something kind of old school and something that just needs to work. And there was a lot of apprehension, of course, when we first found out about the JDA coming, and the same questions everyone might have, like, is the battery going to last? How are we going to charge it? What if the battery dies when we're on a fire scene? So we had all those and we put it to the test. It's very fast, actually. The new thing on this one compared to the JDA, and generally newer to Madison, is auto tire chains, which is great for the city of Madison since we have periods of heavy snow, periods of light snow. So to just flick a button versus having to chalk the wheels and put those chains on manually is huge. All the technological upgrades as far as auto windows up and down, the computer screen on the pump panel is awesome for the engineers to be able to access all the features of the cab out at the pump panel. This one has a Telma sort of magnet brake on it that acts as like an engine jake brake that we're used to, whereas the JDA did not have that. So we were kind of stepping on the pedal harder than we're used to, where the Telma on this thing is almost like single pedal driving an electric car, if anyone's familiar with that out there. So those are the big things. And I think going from the JDA to this has been apples and oranges, honestly, especially since we are in our own production model truck that we're used to. It feels right at home.
All right, and now in this segment of the episode, we are going to speak with Matt Sautter, who is the Director of Cabin Chassis and Electrical at Pierce Manufacturing.
So that's the beauty of Pierce's Volterra, is that the training side of it shouldn't be much for a department to adapt to. So if you look behind us, the cab, the pump house, the chassis, the body, all those are the typical configurations departments would already have within their existing fleet. The only caveat really is the 20 inches of battery rack that are sitting behind the cab. So from a department standpoint, being able to rotate crews in and out from station to station, it's really interchangeable and familiar for them. So training isn't much. It's still master, ignition, start, right? And head on your call. From a maintenance standpoint, what we've seen with some of our existing partners here with Portland and Calgary and Madison is that the maintenance side is actually a little bit less. So the foundation brakes on the chassis, because of regenerative braking, we don't have to use those as much. We can still, when we're approaching lights, we just let off the gas. The regen braking slows the rigs down. We actually charge the packet while doing so. And we're seeing less there. The diesel engine doesn't require much maintenance. It's getting barely any hours on it. A lot of the times, the only reason that the departments are firing these engines up is to do truck checks and things like that. Maintenance there and the savings is pretty cool. Back when we first did the JDA with Madison, it was really a proof of concept, and we took commercial components and assembled them and then created an electric fire truck, trying to keep the thought that this is a fire truck first and foremost, and that the drivetrain is just a drivetrain. We took and adapted components that would fit within that scheme. We've learned a lot of the drivability, the shifting, the performance from a driveline standpoint is really the stuff that we've fine-tuned in the last couple of years with Madison's help. And those things have all kind of came to production here with this unit that's behind us right now. Some other stuff, regen braking, right? That wasn't originally part of the first truck, and we've folded that in here through some development. Things like when you pull out of the station right now and you did it on EV originally, you take your foot off the brake, the truck doesn't move. And people naturally think, well, the truck should creep forward as I take my foot off the brake. So we implemented things inside that driveline to create those simulations to mimic more like a normal fire truck, so that it met the expectations of what those users were used to in a company too. If it's a car fire on the interstate, or if it's a house fire or a fully engulfed industrial complex, they can run on electric until they run out of juice, and then the truck will seamlessly transition back over to diesel and continue operations for as long as needed. Some cool stuff there that we've been able to put through the paces and ultimately make it onto the production product. We've got the city of Madison here in our home state, just a couple hours down the road, which really helps us from a development standpoint. So if they've got feedback for us, rather than sit there and work through the phones or email or whatever, we just send a team of engineers down, put their hands on the truck and figure it out. I think speed to market really was a benefit with having a partner so close to us. Obviously, winter environments we've got 4 seasons up here in Wisconsin, so we're able to learn like driving in snow and things like that. How do we put all this electric torque that's different than diesel torque to the ground and not make this thing a handful of drives? Having a customer like Madison to be able to partner with and help develop that was key. And obviously with Reliant being here, they've got a great relationship with the city, with us, being a good liaison, helping making sure that feedback flows back and forth real good. And it's really been a good experience for us here developing this product. One of the interesting things is as we go and talk to some of these development customers, obviously this is totally new technology in the industry, and you think there's going to be some skepticism and things that are going to be tough to adopt. As these departments have been able to get time with the apparatus, one of the big pieces of feedback is like they want to run the electric rig. They don't want to run the diesel rig. They found a lot of benefits from just quietness inside the cab, to be able to communicate freely as they're reporting the scene, even communication on the fire ground, being able to talk to each other versus having to radio each other when they want to hit a hydrant or do stuff like that. So I think they've really seen some benefits, things that we didn't really, I'll say, totally think that was a cool feature. And as we develop this and get time with it with the departments, that feedback has really come to light. And it's pretty cool to see that obviously that not only have they adopted it, but they've embraced it as well.
Thanks everybody for joining us on another episode of the Pierce Dispatch.